nervous?
No.
Where's your answer?
Dennis Beckham, let the ball on! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Oh!
Oh, no! Oh, yes! He missed it.
Welcome to the Suffering from Joy podcast. My name's Devin, a thriller in DC. 4 goals scored. We're no longer being outscored as a team by single players in MLS, so a good day overall for everyone, I think. Another big victory for Pollo. That's 7 goals to his name in just over 100 minutes in DC. So we'll get into that. We'll talk some all-star stuff. Seth, how you feeling today?
You know, why can't we play DC United every week?
I ask myself that all the time.
There was someone on Slack last night who put in a comment that it's like we should just be in the East so we can play them more. And I'd like to remind people that the Chicago Fire have 2 points more than we do and are in 9th place in the East. We are in 7th place in the West. So I will take the West this year, but we managed to get a perfect bonus game schedule, and I love it.
Yeah, and I mean, we're looking a little more. We have a nice August. We could look at a pretty solid playoff spot, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's do the work and not come out and look like we did in the beginning of the second half. Brad, how you doing today?
Doing okay. Fun game to watch last night. Fun week overall for the sport in and around Austin. If you go back to All-Star Game, and the activities around it, so it's been fun. It's been a good week.
Yeah. Scott, anything you want to add? How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good, and yeah, I want to echo what Brad said. It's been a really fun week for Austin soccer, being able to be the center of like MLS Universe, and had a lot of really fun events going on around town.
Yeah. Let's kind of nail down the DC game first, and then we'll kind of talk all-star stuff. We'll do our format, and then we'll get into what everybody waits for, the Rouge counter and everything like that towards the end. So yeah, I mean, we came out, and that's the best we've looked in a while. I get DC United or abject dog shit, but it was nice to see passes linking up and different chances coming from all sides of the field. We weren't completely reliant on Bucarigo beat 3 guys and make something happen, although that did happen a few times. Yeah, that just looked like a completely dominant performance, which we haven't had in the league in a while. General themes or thoughts, anyone?
Well, I mean, I think we really benefited from Aaron Herrera not being in this match. I mean, the one person on DC Christian Benteke is scary in different ways. And I mean, yes, he did score, but he didn't really score in this match. But as we look at it, like when they are missing their top tier quality fullback on red card suspension, that made a big difference in this match and opened up so much of space on the wings that we have not had in previous matches this season for us FC.
Yeah, it's nice to see folks attack space.
That's what I was kind of getting at, what I noticed early in the match. And you mentioned the linking up of passes, Devin, but we had time to look and think, and it wasn't just quick. It was quick passing, but it wasn't that fast, right? DC seemed just completely uninterested in pressuring the ball for most of the match, and we took advantage of that, which was a sign of a mature team to do so. And I certainly am happy with the way they played last night as far as Austin goes, but that was a pitiful, pitiful opponent on the pitch, wearing very, very awesome throwback kits.
And a pretty awful pitch, too.
Yes.
Also that. I think the thing I liked about it the most was that Austin didn't play down to their level. Like Austin just kind of just sat there and played their game. They didn't really get pressured, and so they used they found the spaces, they got into the space. We got to see Danny can just kind of like run rampant a lot of the time, just completely free of anybody trying to mark him, which is really great to see. And yeah, like there's a reason why DC are bad. Like it doesn't matter who their coach is, they're just a bad roster.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of hit on it too. We've had played some teams that are in some doldrums over the years and kind of played down to them. I mentioned linking passes. The other thing I noticed is we were taking that time that Brad mentioned too, but there was a lot more, and we talked about this concept, however flittingly it comes up along Austin, is there's information on the pass. So I hit a pass over to you, how I hit that and how you're supposed to receive it tells you where the ball should be going next, or where you should look, or where you should run, or something like that. And I thought we did that, other than kind of the 10 or 15 minutes, we were a little sloppy and lazy coming out for the second half. I thought we did that pretty well all night. We got a lot of goals to talk about, so I guess we should just jump straight into those. This is like classic, great pass, great weight on it from Heinzike, great finish from Uzuni. If I was playing rec ball and there was literally no midfield and a center back just walked up and slid that straight through my team like that, I would be screaming bloody murder. So, we took advantage of it, like we said, but that wasn't great from anybody in a DC jersey.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like that is a assist that I would have expected from Julio Cascante rather than Brendan Heinzike. But like it is I mean, it's interesting. As I was preparing for this, I looked at this. There is no one from DC United. The only DC United player from the 2022 team that was on the pitch last night was Brendan Heinzike from when we played there 3 years ago. Like that is, and that's a place that he knows well, even though it's a overused field, everything else. And even if he doesn't know those exact guys, he knew where to take advantage of space there. And we actually looked like, I don't know, maybe if you have 10 days to have a game plan, even though, let's face it, Nico Esteves was plenty busy managing other stuff in the last 10 days besides this, that it seemed like, okay, these guys can still ball. Like we have to remind ourselves that like this is a league of parity to such a point that when you have one of these few teams that doesn't meet the bar, it really does show. And it's like, okay, sometimes we get caught in the doldrums of the league of like everyone's pretty equal to each other. And this is a rare match where that's not the case. And it was nice to see us take advantage of it. If I look at our 4 goals last night, 3 of those were effectively team goals. Like that is not usually like, yes, I mean, we can get to the late Robert Taylor strike that was more of an individual effort, but like it should be pretty easy to finish tap-ins if you get to that point.
What's interesting about this goal is that if you stop play when Heinzike hits the pass, you can see the just giant gap in space in the middle of the field. And we talk about teams, defending in 2 blocks of 4 and how that, lets you, kind of mark everybody. And DC's in 2 blocks of 4. They have no interest in like marking the striker. Their midfielders are out wide to match Austin's midfielders. Their fullbacks are out wide to match Austin's wingers. And there's just gaps of space everywhere. And this is where I think, Nico kind of talked about it of the advantages of Azuni versus Vasquez is that Azuni's more likely to find that space and run in behind a little bit more and utilize that. And this is where you see that pop up because I don't know that Vasquez is going to like stand there and try to like move up. I think he's going to put his body on a defender and effectively actually like mark himself.
Well, you mentioned the defenders were further out. Does Vasquez actually demand a defender in there to mark him because of his size versus Uzuni? And also, for the last month or so, most of our goal scoring has been coming from Bucati going outside, beating people. And go back to the LA game, and then last night, Owen Wolf, who was on one on the left wing, linking up and making plays on that side. So it kind of became a little bit of a pick your poison in that space, which thank goodness we're finally at this point. It's kind of what we've been waiting for. I loved Uzuni's subtle movement to one last step to get where he needed to be in between the defenders and just a quick one touch before scoring on the goal. But I do think there was a discussion last night in game chat, especially on the LV Slack, for why is Taylor not starting? How is Taylor still not playing? Yes, Taylor got a goal last night, guys. But the best player on the pitch started in Taylor's spot on the left wing. And if you go back even to 2021 and 2022 when Owen was kind of playing on the wing and really we kept trying to figure out where his best position was, I've always kind of thought his best position might be outside versus tucking him inside in the midfield. Is Taylor a starter on this team for me? Because Owen Wolf's a more effective player out there for what we're trying to do.
Well, I mean, Nico's pretty much said you got to earn it, and if Owen was in the top 5 for team of the match day, I don't think you're gonna overcome that. The other note I'm gonna say here on Owen is he's been assisted in that position a lot by having Rubio out there, because you have guys who can essentially kind of like flip and switch, and they're not doing it the way you'll see people like switch wingers sides, but like Owen knows if he cuts inside, there's going to be somebody on the outside.
Rubio's an actual 10, though. That helps.
Yeah.
Having somebody who knows how to play that role helps.
Yeah. And it's nice. And we took advantage of it. And, did you guys we were playing so well that I didn't even think about the fact that that was Uzuni and he's missed sitters all season. I was just like, oh, that's a goal. As soon as I saw the pass come off of Heinzek's foot, I was just like, goal. That's how fluid we were looking.
But it's also, this is Uzuni starting to gain confidence as well.
Yep.
Like, we are actually playing him as a lone striker. And that's when we talk, like, again, if the move for Vasquez had to come through, and I'm still very, 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 very glad that we have Brandon Vasquez on this team, even if he's out for the rest of the season. But, like, this is how Uzuni can finish a lot of goals. If he gets a bunch of chances, he's going to convert some of them.
Yeah, the big question is, when Vasquez comes back healthy, what do we do?
Good problem to have. Champagne problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing with, is Robert Taylor a starter on this team? Like, I think Robert Taylor's a good MLS player and who would fit into a lot of teams really well. And if he's the first guy off your bench, then you're doing pretty good roster-wise.
And this is the deepest Austin FC team we've had in 5 years in this club. That even the 22 team was pretty thin at a lot of positions, especially on the back line. That, like, having some depth, especially as we go down the stretch, is going to be helpful.
Yeah, at no point last night we brought subs on was I ever concerned about, oh, crap, we have a really bad level drop-off. Like, Taylor came on for Owen, felt good about it. Even Obreon played pretty well last night in his spot. I thought he was better. Dubersarski made some really nice plays, and I would like to see him get some more minutes, especially if we're up ahead closing out games, because he does seem to have a knack for defending and closing guys down and helping us finish off games. I just overall can't say enough about it. You mentioned the depth, Seth, but this is, I'm not getting out ahead of my skis. This is nothing more to me still than at max 5th place team in the West. But with our schedule, that's achievable because the schedule is pretty light the rest of the way. But this is the kind of team that if we can continue to round into form, that Open Cup match in Minnesota becomes real. As far as like, holy shit, this is very much achievable.
Yeah, went a little under the radar, but Sabovic has somehow learned how to run again. That was a weird month where he didn't know how to do that. Ilie played almost a full 90, which he hasn't done all season. I think they pulled him at 88 or 89, something like that.
I mean, this is part of like the schedule not being as congested, is that Ilie does get like 10 days or 2 weeks between matches. I mean, it's also kind of an interesting thing in the West right now where 3 teams have kind of like separated themselves standings wise. And then you kind of have a morass of like 6 or so teams that can kind of like get up there depending on schedule and injuries and stuff. And I think Austin's firmly part of that 6. I think it's just a matter of kind of like where we kind of finish up. And especially with, talking about bonus game schedule, we still have at Montreal left, which is a bonus game. They're probably the only team that's as bad as DC, I think. We still have Dallas, who are bad, and their second best player doesn't want to be part of the team. Like, there's a lot of points left on the schedule.
We got Dallas twice.
You think Nico is
twice, including
motivated to coach 2 games against Frisco? I sure as hell hope he is.
Yeah. What I wonder too, like, blessing in disguise, we'll kind of look at it this way. Not having Vasquez, does that give us like a play style hint? Because we were talking even before he got hurt, we need to play with 10, we need to play with 10, we need to play with 10. Uzuni's not a guy that you're going to have, 20, 30, 40 touches on like Vasquez, where you're putting the ball into him, it's coming back out. He's much more of this like go stuff the last shoulder, get in and pop it in the net type of striker. So I don't know if maybe like having our hand forced really kind of put us in a better spot like that. Go buy a fucking 10, Roto. That's what we're saying. I do like Rubio. I just don't think he can play scheduled congestion wise when that picks back up. Those kind of things.
I want. Go ahead. So,
I say schedule congestion isn't really a thing. The only midweek match we have left this season right now is Open Cup semifinal, and then obviously hopefully one more match. And then in the playoffs, you always get it. And assuming we would be able to avoid an 8-9 game, that you always get at least 5 days between matches.
Yeah.
Diego Rubio, second half MVP.
Yeah, I think the question on the 10 thing for me, it comes back to, again, and I know you guys said champagne problem, but when Vasquez comes back, if Uzuni's continuing to play well, where is that third DP spot? Or can we find a TAM level 10 somewhere? Because it's not like that's growing on trees. My guess is we're going to have to go spend some money to get one. And can Uzuni be as effective out wide? Because it seemed like just before the Vasquez injury, we were going to start playing him wider than we were. That was according to Nico. So I kind of think we're going to get to a point where we'll probably have to sell one of them. My guess is it would be Uzuni, try to cash in high on him. But I don't know.
Not to delay answer it, but Vasquez isn't coming back this year. You have a whole off season to rebuild it and figure out that problem.
Yeah, you've got time. I understand we have time for sure, but it's a down the road thing that I think Roto has to look and think about, because his axiom of good players can figure out how to play together, I think, is bullshit.
It is.
Yeah. Roster construction matters, and this roster and this team plays better when we have a true lone striker and a true defined 10.
Yeah. Well, things change quickly. As I like to point out, we rewind to, April, May, and people were wanting Bukari benched. So I just like to say, let's see how it unfolds. Sometimes answers present themselves. Maybe we get a full off season and, Vasquez, we can turn into a little bit of like an offset, front post striker. Zuni still gets to ghost in on the back. We can come up with something like that. I don't know.
Do we want to talk about the second goal?
Yeah, let's talk about the second goal, Scott. Tell us of the second goal.
So the second goal is kind of what I find interesting about it more than anything is we are a very pro CJ Fodry podcast. And this is the exact goal that you expect somebody like CJ Fodry to score on the back post. This is not a goal that you expect Owen Wolff to score on the back post. Him out-muscling a defender and putting in a header like that is not something I thought was part of his game. And I'm really glad to see that it is, and is really kind of like, early in the season when we were talking about like him being a breakout player, part of it was just him maturing physically and being 20 and being stronger. And this is kind of one of those cases. To take a step back on how it got created, Dessler and Bukari are on the right, and they're kind of doing interplay and kind of just like testing out the defense and seeing when they can find a good cross in. And all the Austin players kind of start making front post runs, and they drag all the defenders there. And when you can get a attacking player 1v1 against a defender on the back post and put a good cross in, like, this is what should happen. Like, it's a very well worked goal. It's a very well designed goal. If you think about it, it's like a play kind of a thing, and it's a goal that we don't see Austin score a lot.
See us give it up a lot, but it is nice.
Honestly, not that much this season. I feel like in past seasons, yes, but like this season, of the goals we've given up, they haven't really been like those goals.
No, we had a few early, so it felt like that was the trend being set, but. Yeah, I'm with you. Like the, DC player doesn't even jump. Owen just monsters him. Loved it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see over my shoulder, but I have the poster on my wall already. So
nice. Yeah. Wow, how'd you get that high vis done that quickly? That was impressive.
Kinko's is open late. Yeah, no, it was well worked. I thought something interesting in the post game press conference that I saw in quotes was during this kind of lull that we've had more time without having a game, Dessler and Bukari have apparently been working on the side, just talking, working together, trying to understand their combo play where guys want to be. And it seems like it's starting to pay fruition, right? Because you saw Bukari trying to take one or two guys, I think 2 or 3 guys on down around the in line there. And then just pops it quickly to Dessler, who took about 2 steps back just to give enough space before doing the cross. I thought Dessler played a really good game last night too. Not only just a lot of little subtle things from him, as he tends to always do, which is he's kind of the guy that's like, oh yeah, he's really good. And it's easy to notice, but also it kind of just becomes like, oh yeah, he's still really good in every game. And you just expect it. It's fun to watch.
Well, yeah, and he's consistently good too. Like his down game is just like, oh, I wasn't the best player on the pitch.
Yeah,
it's still top level. So it's easy to get comfy, and I definitely think Dessler, Bukari's, there were some issues with Gallagher playing right back for a while and that kind of communication. So nice to see that ironed out. Anything else you guys want to add on this before we talk about the bad thing? All right, bad thing 1. My whole read going into halftime was don't get lazy, don't do anything stupid. And we came out and played the first 10 minutes or so of the second half lazy and stupid.
Yeah. But it's also like, we look at that goal. We have 7 guys within about a 6 square foot area. It feels like how can it was almost like our midfield and defense had collapsed into a traffic cone. Like, how do you leave guys on both wings open around 7 guys between the penalty spot and the top of the 18? Like, come on. Like, a middle school coach would be mad at that, much less a professional team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
And
going to
even
say it looked like a breakout drill.
Yeah, and even like the recovery from Spotak, like he takes a bad angle on it. Like, there's ways to kind of last ditch defend that, and you need the defenders on an individual level to still like make that right angle, make that right pass, or make that right tackle, and he didn't do that.
I thought everything about the first 10 minutes of the second half was just uninspired and kind of lazy, and we let our guard down. The goal was the obvious oh shit moment 3 minutes into the half, but even the next 5, 6, 7 minutes, like we immediately gave up possession after kickoff, and they were attacked, and they were in our final third threatening again. I'd like to know what the hell was said in that locker room at halftime, and why we came out like that, because I haven't seen too much of that out of Nico teams or a Nico team this year. Like we've seemed to come out of the locker room better than we had under Josh, because that was a recurring problem under Josh Wolf, was the first 5-10 minutes of the second half.
But Brad, when have we had a 2-0 lead coming out of the half?
Fair.
So like I think there's 2 things to factor in. Like, I don't think Nico said much of anything. He's like, good job, keep it up, guys, type halftime speech. Also, I mean, as DC United was going in there, it was audible on the Apple TV broadcast of the boos coming down for that section. There were sell the team chants coming out of their supporter section. Like, yeah, I have to say that their interim coach gave them a little bit of a pep talk. These guys, yeah, I'm not surprised DC came out strong to start the second half.
Yeah, but that's when you have to master that, like, just soak up some pressure, chop the game up, give away some bad fouls around the half line, that sort of stuff. And, it's something maybe the team will learn. Because like you said, it's not like we're up 2-0 all the time. All right, then we get to talk about the third goal. It's probably the best goal we've scored all season. Who wants to handle this one? Nobody.
I went back and watched it this morning, and it took 15 seconds from start to finish. From the time it leaves Brad Stewart's foot to the time it hits the back of the net. It's 15 seconds. I believe it was 4 passes.
4 passes, yeah.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. The unsung portion of the play was Owen Wolf sliding to keep the ball in play, and then immediately popping up and continue to move it forward. I don't know if y'all noticed too, but Bucati had 2 choices. Now, he made the right choice by going for goal. You're wide open. You have to take that shot. But Danny was also ready for a return pass, sitting right there on the penalty spot. Like, it was... I have not seen us work a team goal like that in at least 2 years. It's been a while. I think the last one that comes to mind, it might have been 3 years ago, was the Ruben Gabrielsen goal. At home, he had a long run. There was like 2 or 3 people. I think he scored it, or maybe he assisted on it. But it was back in 2022. It's the last time I remember something as remotely good as that on a team goal from us.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you a little shit here, Brad, because you called out Uzuni for making selfish runs. I think this is the last time you were on the show. And this is very much he gives up any shot of scoring the goal, drives out, and opens up space for Bukari to either, like you said, pass to Danny or put it in like he did. Nice 5-hole finish, by the way. And, underrated too on this is I think Bukari lines it up so he can make that decision based on what the goalkeeper is doing. So he takes the perfect amount of time when it goes, I see the wickets, let's go. And just pops it. But yeah, I mean, Stuver to Danny in the midfield, that's 3-4 guys out of the game, 1 pass. Onto Owen, keeps it in, chops it back, 2 guys out. Danny, draws defenders, 2 more guys out. Uzuni runs a guy out, bam, tap in, there you go.
The Apple TV announcer made a really good point, and that's a sentence that we don't say a lot here. But early in the game, when Danny and I think Diego took long shots in situations like that, they talked about, setting a defense up for that. And you kind of wonder if the defenders don't still suck into Danny when he tries to shoot, if they hadn't seen that before. Also, I think I was the one who said that Azuni made selfish runs, so it was pretty good to see him, not do that.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can tell how much I pay attention and take notes on what you guys say.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah, there you go. Someone said it that wasn't me. We'll just blame Mark. Uh, then we almost kind of like let them back in the game for no reason. It does lead to the funniest part of the game, but nice little just easy. We give them way too much space and time, and they work the ball a little bit. Got lucky they were offside in the buildup, but basically give them another tap in easy chance. Then Scott, do you want to walk us through the hilarity that ensued after the ball goes in the net?
The hilarity that ensued was a VAR check was called, rightfully, and I'm not sure if Q2 has this or not, but at Audi Field they have two different VAR stations. They have a primary VAR station and a secondary one, and they're on opposite sides of the field, which is inherently just a very funny concept of, hey, let's have two of these, but we'll put them 120 yards away from each other or whatever. So the referee runs over to one, and the announcers are talking this whole time, and you can tell that the screen is not popping on, or it's not really showing the game, and the announcers are like trying to cover for a clear mistake. And they point out there's a second one, but the second one's on the other side of the field. And so and to the credit of the camera crew, they follow the referee running back across the entire field. And credit to the referee for doing it in pretty good time. He was hustling out there. They do an actual VAR check. It's working. They rightfully call it offside. The announcers had no idea who any of the Austin defenders were at any point in the game. They kept saying that Dessler was the one who caught him onside, but if Dessler was the one keeping him onside, then he was offside by a yard. Like, that's not even close in any way, shape, or form. So it's just kind of a like funny Apple thing that's a mistake as opposed to our usual like complaint.
See, I can sort of get the logic. I'm not saying this is what they did, but most of our reviews are on goals, right? So you're going to be near the goal. So if you have to review it, then you have one on each side, then you just go to whichever one is closer. That sort of makes sense. I have no idea if that's how they set it up or why, but
I mean, so there's some weird things about Audi Field. So that Phil actually pointed this out in his recap, is that Audi Field is one of two fields that he knows of in the world where the press box actually faces towards the east rather than towards the west. So like when you're watching on TV, it's actually a different angle. Goodison Park, which now I guess isn't really a state. I mean, it's stadium still for Everton's women starting this season, is the only other one. Like Audi, like at almost every other MLS stadium, I think some NWSL stadiums, I mean, the infamous cooler in KC is occasionally behind a goal, but usually the VARs are at midfield.
Wait, doesn't our press box face east? It's on the west side looking east.
Yeah. No, theirs is on the east side facing west, I should say.
Oh, okay.
It's opposite of the camera view, I think was the point. So it looks different.
Okay, got it. I was like, wait, that tricked me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, good check there.
Devin, you mentioned, like, I don't know if Q2 has this with two screens. Couldn't they just theoretically go inside to the field club and look at a screen if they had to on one of the TVs in there?
I mean, they could. That was the joke when Luton Town got promoted, is that you were just going to run into somebody's apartment or flat right outside the ground and do the VAR check that way. I think they're required to have two screens. I don't know if there's a requirement on like where they would be, because I remember this being a big deal in one of the Premier League games, maybe last season or the season before, where they had like the main screen that you see the guy look at most of the time. And then they had another one like embedded in the ground. And so everybody thought like there wasn't a review going on. He was just like looking at the grass and listening to the in studio or VAR. But I don't know. I think you have to have two, but I think ours are like right next to each other, which you would, make sense.
Now I'm just imagining an official like VAR pub that's like right outside the ground in case like it goes out that like the referee like actually like goes to.
Yeah, just have a quick pint.
No, but like it's also that like how is there not an official sponsor of VAR and VAR technologies in this league? I'm very disappointed in our league brand.
Because they've watched VAR.
How is the giant screen not an Apple iPad or something?
Yes, yeah. I know.
Like, but then
Apple
again, this also gets us to this issue on this VAR, is that we had no angle within 15 yards on the sideline of like whether that was, I do think it was clear and obvious offsides, but like we were looking at an angle from the top of the 18, and that was a good 15 yards back of that. Like,
yeah, so
more angles in this, and like Apple TV is still in year 3 of this experiment. Is still lagging on getting enough cameras and everything else in the stadium, and we somehow still don't have semi-automated offsides technology.
Completely agree. But from a TV technological standpoint, if you even remotely look offside from that angle, because that angle should put you closer to looking onside, you are off fucking side.
Brad, do you want to give us a quick rundown on the parallax angle or anything else here while you're doing it?
I mean, not really, but it's if you guys, I always go back to remember the Sounders goal. The goal we scored against the Sounders, that was clearly a goal, but they said it wasn't.
Yes.
It's because if you look at it going towards the net, so from the field of play towards the net, that ball we could tell was like right around the edge or just barely over, but they couldn't say no. It's because it forces the angle of the shot forces the goal line essentially to look like it's closer toward the ball than it may actually be. Okay. So if we were looking at this offside from the opposite, from the further to the right than we were yesterday, okay, it's going to actually make Benteke look further off than he would have been. But because we were looking back towards him, he's still off, but he's closer to the back line than he probably would be, or than he should be. My guess is if you actually really looked at it right down the line, he's probably close to a yard offside based on the angle.
Yeah, and you can see this when they actually like line up the crash test dummies and stuff, where they do the actual like lines, and when they remember to draw the lines in the Premier League, where you'll be like, oh, I don't know, it looks pretty tight, and then they show the actual line at the angle you're talking about, and you're like, oh, he's way the fuck offside. So if you just watch enough, you'll notice exactly what Brad just explained. But then we get kind of a let off there. I always like when we get like goals overturned against other teams because I feel like it's a momentum boost for us. And we kind of just sort of, killed the game off from there, and then we were the only team really with chances for the most part.
That's what I was going to get to after the offside decision. I thought the next 20 minutes were a really good job of settling the game down because it was starting to get back and forth a little bit after, we had 3 goals, one of which got called off, but, we'd had 3 goals in the second half at that point combined. And I'm sitting here on the couch just screaming, just calm this damn thing down, guys. You have control. You don't need to play back up and down style with this team. That's kind of the only way that DC is going to have a chance to get back in this game. If we stay back, we play organized defense, and we just pass the ball around. At one point, we were playing horseshoe, and I'm like, yeah, this is good. Horseshoe passing in the 78th minute up 3-1 is perfectly fine. We can do this. I actually got frustrated in extra time when we didn't take the ball and pull it back out at one point late. I think it was relatively late in extra time. But we've done that a few times this year, really late in games where we're leading, where instead of taking it to the corner flag or pulling it out to pass it around, we actually try to shoot and just give them the ball right back, which I think is stupid. But for the 20 minutes or so there, between 20, 25 minutes, whatever it was, between the offside call and then us scoring the fourth goal, I thought we did just a really, really nice job of slowing that game back down and getting it to a pace that we wanted to play.
Yeah, my coach fan brain agrees with you, but at the same time, if I'm a player, you got 3 goals, you're finally vibing, you smell blood in the water, you want to go for it a little more. So
I think this is also just a basic coaching philosophy thing. Would you rather kill the game by scoring a goal or kill the game by holding possession? And I think, going back to the horseshoe passing, this is when horseshoe passing is effective because you just keep the ball away. You're playing keep away. And that was the frustration we had a lot of Wolf teams, is that they wouldn't do that. Your entire philosophy is built around holding possession, not letting the other team have the ball. But then when you are up and don't want the team to have the ball, you don't do that.
Yes, you don't do the thing when you should be doing the thing. Yeah. Do we want to talk about the 4th goal? I feel like everybody else has had a shot. Seth, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, no, as we start going through, okay, at this point in the match, it was really funny because in terms of our friends on Slack, that Jessica decided to place a 3-1 bet on Austin FC to win this match. So I feel like there were as many people that were watching this game on Slack as watching this game live that were vested in Austin not scoring, which is a very hilarious position to be in considering this season of Austin FC. But as we start building it up there, run down the side there, like it really was looking like, as Brad was saying, like we had been maintaining smart possession here earlier. It's how do you still keep building it up there? And honestly, I didn't think Taylor was going to take that shot at that point there. And it was really funny because the Apple TV announcer actually said Biro scored the goal. And I was like, how is this? I mean, all-star Guillermo Biro, which is also, we'll get into that in a second. But it is I mean, just like a laser from the corner. Like he had the angle, he took it, he scored it. Hey, we'll take it.
Yeah, gets the nice kiss off the post for the style points.
Yeah, and like if you look at the replay angles, like he clearly saw his exact lane. He knew what he was going to do, and he did it. Oh, he's a professional soccer player. That's what he should do.
Was it Dubasarski who had the assist?
Yes.
Yeah, I just
like that was like the least assisty assist that you could possibly have. Like it was because that he was assisting a goal when he made that pass.
Oh, 100%. And like Taylor's even like calling for the ball in a specific spot. It's not like quite on that spot, which is part of what's really impressive about the finish. I think in our discussion about Dubasarski and just like our thoughts on him, I think he's better on the ball than we want to give him credit for. And that's kind of part of why I'm interested in seeing what he looks like as a player, especially like next year, because I think that might be the time that we really see a like Ilya style 6 who can defend and also like slip in a lot of really easy passes and get the attack going.
Well, we have no idea what we got coming in with Nicky Loco either, though, right? So, how does Duber fit in and moving forward? I still can't get over the fact that you're spending $3 million to go get Dubasarski. At some point, you got to give him some more minutes, right?
It's also the U22 is a different. Like you can't think of it like a normal $3 million.
I hear you, but you develop him. I know we have him on a 5-year contract, but you spend the money on him. You continue to develop them, you show them off, and then you can flip them for more money down the road. Like that's
I mean, he's a 20-year-old at the end of the day. It is okay if he is not starting. I do expect that he will be a starter on this team next season.
Well, I mean, does that kind of signal? Well, I mean, we know Ilya's not long for this world, but does that kind of signal we're planning in the near future? Not necessarily this window, but both Danny and Owen going.
Ilya's not going to die.
Whatever.
No,
this world being Austin FC.
I think it goes back to the like.
I'm sorry, you guys had to find out.
Ozzy Osbourne Ilya.
Let's take this a reminder that all 4 of us are older than Ilya Sanchez. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, let's not get into like thinking too nihilistically here. No,
I guess that we're all already dead.
He is old for a soccer player. Let's just always caveat that. No, I think it goes back to what we were talking about of having an like actual roster that is competition every week, and that's a very good thing. And I think it gives a lot of options if some championship club is like, hey, I want Owen Wolf for $6 million. VERDE can be like, yes, let's not get off the phone. Let's do this right now, like kind of a thing, and still like have a decent shot of a team.
Yeah, and I wonder too if that was sort of the Duber initial signing too was, hey, what if somebody comes in late and wants to give us all of the money for Danny or Owen or someone like that? But I mean, the kid can play. I don't, especially in MLS, I don't think you can have too many of those like plug and play 6, 8, 10 kind of guys. Not really.
I mean, that's a lot of Vancouver's success.
Yeah,
is they have a lot of guys that you can just kind of plug into a lot of different positions and just do the job.
Oh, yeah. And they're going to get Thomas Mueller as well on top of that. Like,
Seth, can you explain to me why a sort of goofy German guy wants to go to Vancouver?
I don't know. Maybe that he has a teammate who played for the Vancouver Whitecaps before this. And he is a citizen of the world who wants to play in North America but doesn't want to live in the United States in 2025.
All right.
Yeah, honestly, if I was coming over to MLS, I would probably want to play in either Vancouver or Toronto. Like, you get to live in Canada.
Toronto's cities, though.
Huh?
Not the city, the team.
Oh, I'm talking about where I want to live, man. Screw whatever plan. I feel like living in one of those two cities would probably Vancouver for weather for me, because as much as I like Toronto and very much enjoy the city, yeah, I could avoid the snow in the off season versus not as much in Vancouver, more of a traditional Northwest climate. But
it's amazing to me that those two cities aren't, and even Montreal aren't recruiting a little more than they have in the past. Toronto's, it seems to me like, should be, and I know they got Insigne and they got, why can't I think of the
Bernadeschi.
name?
Well, they cut them both.
Bernadeschi. Yeah. I know they had them both, but it feels like that's a team that should be able to recruit at a higher level than they do.
And Canada's taxes are still cheaper than most in Europe, so like that shouldn't be as much of an issue.
Yeah, and I imagine too, especially if you look at like English background folks, it's really easy to get a visa.
Yeah.
Or I guess UK in general, but I don't know. I guess we do have to talk about the final bad thing. And I was going to be so nice to our referee friend too until this happened. Do you guys think this is a penalty? Really?
We're going to use the Brad test here. Is that a foul outside the box? The answer
I
is
don't think so.
I thought it was a penalty earlier in the game when Benteke was getting his jersey tugged and held, and it wasn't called. So I actually have no problem with this because to me it was more of an accumulation.
Okay, yeah,
that is actually my gripe about
it.
That's my gripe about it, is that if that's a penalty, you should have called that 60 minutes ago, because you set the standard that it was okay for the entire game, and then at the end you were like, oh, you know what, Christian Benteke needs a goal just for storylines. Let's give him a penalty.
Yeah, I think the first one I would have been fine with them calling. This one was just like nowhere near enough for me, but
yeah, top to bottom, I thought the ref had a really good game.
Yeah.
I thought it was the most enjoyable, free-flowing match that I've seen all year as far as just not getting referee involvement and calling fouls when they need to be. Otherwise, let them play. I wish more referees were like that all in.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about this all the time, too. Like, did he get every single foul call correct? Probably not. Did he get all the big decisions correct? Okay, well, we can debate the penalty, but ultimately it's at a point in the game where it doesn't matter. He wasn't the main character. He didn't go out there to say, hey, everybody look at me. You didn't notice him most of the game.
Well, Apple commentators even said that last night. At one point during the match, they said, he doesn't have main character syndrome, is I think the exact words they used, if I remember correctly. And complimenting how well he was doing. So, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised and wish we could have him for every match, or at least someone like him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you even want to tot up the All-Star game where we had super main character syndrome, Mendoza! He basically just swallowed the whistle and let them play, which is what you should do, like, period, but definitely in an All-Star game. Anything else on here before we head over to kind of do our All-Star festivity discussion?
You know what? This team, at many points in its history, would have gone on the road to two subpar teams and not gotten 6 points. We got 6 points, and we got 6 points convincingly. You know what? This is the difference between we have complained on this podcast a lot about Nico Esteves. This is a reason why Nico Esteves teams, they might be boring, they might be other things, but like they consistently make the playoffs because they are able to get things done like this. I don't think this team is going to win an MLS Cup. I'm not delusional here. But, like, if this team can continue to beat bad teams, we're going to beat a decent playoff spot.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the season, if you would have given me minimum Open Cup semifinal run plus playoffs, I would have been pretty happy. Like, that's marked improvement over the previous 2 years. And I would tell you, we're probably there. Like, it would take a pretty hard implosion not to make the playoffs at this point. I think we need about 13 or 14 more points and when I say playoffs, as we have said before, I don't count 8-9 game. I don't give a shit what the league says. Automatically qualify for the playoffs in the top 7 spots.
I think we still have a little work to do there, but
I mean, you're talking 13 or 14 points gets it out of 11 games left. It's not a heavy lift.
I thought we were only like 3 points out of 8th.
We are, but historically, if you look at what 7th needs, you need about 13 more.
Okay. We'll go win Copa Tejas, and that'll get us almost all the way there.
Yeah, going back to the point about Nico's teams, I did the numbers, and they have 18 of 27 points against non-playoff teams in 14 matches. Or, I'm sorry, in fewer matches than that, in 9 matches. And in matches against playoff teams, which is 14 matches, they have 15 points. So Nico's teams are beating the teams they're supposed to beat. We just need them to get a few more points against some of the better teams. But part of that is also that imbalance of like Austin's had a rough schedule. And like we kind of talked about earlier, like they still have Montreal, they still have Dallas twice. Like there's a lot of, we still have Kansas City. Like there's a lot of points left.
Yeah, let's go get them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think the games against LAFC might be the only ones we have left in the league that are against teams above us.
Seattle.
Seattle too. Okay, we have one against Seattle, right? But that's
And the RSL game at RSL is going to be a tough game. At Kansas City is always a tough game for us. Like this is MLS. You don't count things ahead of time. That being said, I am glad that our next match is not for 2 weeks. It's against the Houston Dynamo, who have to play 3 matches between now and then. And they got to play as we go through this in the Leagues Cup that starts on Tuesday. That and well, I mean, they did get postponed on Friday night, but they got to play Tigres, Mazatlan, and Pachuca. Good luck. I mean, they have to play Tigres at home. I mean, there's going to be 90% Tigres fans there on Tuesday night. There will not. I don't think there will be empty seats at the stadium. It will be very fun to see that stadium full. But in yellow, not in orange.
I'm anti-Leagues Cup as long as they continue to dick with US Open Cup, but I may have to turn that on for a minute just to see the environment. Or find a clip or something. All right, do we want to do team news or we want to go straight to the All-Star game?
We should highlight our U22 signing.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you sure he's 22?
Well, but he's Serbian 22.
Yeah.
I would say that beard is
like he's like 37 with a couple of kids and a mortgage.
I wish I could grow a beard that good.
No, but like in Serbia, I mean, but the thing is, we used to say like, okay, if you were like 40 in Serbia, but like 20 years ago, it's like, okay, you saw some shit during the war. Now you're just like 22 in Serbia, and like, okay, your life has probably not been that rough on this side of it. It's not like you were like, you now have like, okay, you're 22 years old. That means you're born in 2003. Like, okay, you shouldn't be like becoming a man at 14. But I guess I don't know. Maybe there's something different in the water there.
No, Seth, this is like centuries of Balkan and grain seat some shit. This is not like, just one generation of relative peace is fine. Like literally centuries of trauma have been passed down through this man's genetics.
If you're telling me he's like Nikola Jokic, and he just wants to play and then go watch a ponies race, and you win ring, I have a parade. No parade. Gotta go home. Gotta go race horsey. That's perfect. Give me this.
Do you guys know how to say this guy's name, or do I have to give us Balkan instructions again?
No. So we do actually have the printout. So let's hear what you say, and then we have the official name guide, and we will compare this here and there.
We're gonna put me on the spot. I like this. So I have his name pulled up in front of me. I'm gonna go Mateja Djordjevic.
I think you are very, very close here. I'm sorry, I should have had this ready to go here. It is, Mateja Djordjevic, exactly.
Okay.
Devin passes his Balkan test for the day.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think about that before we started. I was like, shit, I should have read this and thought about it. But no, he comes from TSC in Serbia, and I mean, most people, if you can name a club in Serbia, it's Crvena Zvezda, Red Star Belgrade, but they're kind of in that next biggest tier.
That stadium has hosted a ton of Israeli and Belarusian teams and other teams that are currently not allowed to host in UEFA, but that they occasionally they'll qualify for Conference League, but they have a stadium that meets all those UEFA criteria. So they host an extraordinary number of neutral site UEFA matches.
Interesting. But I think it's fair to call this the second biggest club in Serbia. Yeah, if not second, third. Were we expecting Nicky Boloko to be on the roster play yesterday? I didn't really have any idea.
No, I think he makes the 20 in the next game. That we have 2 weeks off now. He can work his way in. More interested to see who we drop. So if he worked his way into the roster.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a smart call. Just get your feet under you, get settled, get a place to live, figure out where your comfort food spot is, and then we'll work in the next few weeks. Especially since we have all that time off.
Well, I think Beloko's been here for a few weeks, though, right?
Yeah, he's been here. I mean, I think it's just a question of right now that, like, I mean, it's also been a kind of weird few weeks, like All-Star game, everything else, that, like, it probably hasn't gotten as much time to settle in, but it's a question of, like, okay, we have a crowded midfield room. Is everyone in this midfield room here come August 22nd?
There's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still think the person who's most likely to not be on this team is Hunter O'Brien. And that's not in the midfield room, technically. Or sort of, but not really.
Not really.
Well, we keep hearing the rumors of the Danny sell to Coventry, which who knows if that's real. I would also, and Danny had a great game last night. I think there's still a lot of value for him in the league if you want to trade him east. And with the new internal league selling option being out there, you can turn him into cash as opposed to GAM, like however you want to go about it. I don't know. It seems like somebody's going to have to go that we're not expecting, and Danny feels like the most likely candidate for that.
Danny, to me, feels more like he would be pushing for kind of a wider view move more than Owen, because he's still competing for a spot on a Venezuela World Cup team.
I actually think besides O'Brien, I don't think anybody's going to leave yet. I think our roster is small enough in terms of like just the spots. There's no reason to do it unless we just get a really good offer.
Yeah, and I mean that's sort of what we were talking about earlier. You replace him before you have to sell him, so you can sell him at max value, right? Whenever that offer comes in. All right. Anything else, or should we talk All-Star?
Let's go to the All-Star game.
Talk the week of the Speed Showcase. I guess let's do the what somebody called the 5'7" elephant in the room out of the way. I don't really give a shit that Messi showed up. I think it was a dick move that they didn't announce until the day of, and I'm glad they suspended him, but that's about all I have to say on the subject.
I was going to give Don Garber my stock rising of the week for actually holding firm to something in this league.
I think Don Garber fucked this all up. And not because he suspended him. Suspending was the correct move. But Devin, you're 100% right. The fact that they didn't announce this till a few hours before kickoff is absolute bullshit. And I didn't have tickets to the game. I didn't go to the game. So I didn't lose out on anything here. I'm not mad about it from my perspective. But there are people who did. And it is unacceptable to say, hey, this guy's on the All-Star team. We're going to sell his fucking All-Star jersey in the stadium all over the place. And then not like skills challenge the night before. I was at that. We all sat together. His jersey was everywhere. The All-Star Messi jersey was there to be sold. You can't do that. And then 5-6 hours before kickoff, pull him out of the game and say he's not going to be there and expect people to be okay with that.
Well, and the league has very few like league-wide events, and if you're going to plaster him everywhere, he was on literally every fucking commercial during the All-Star game. If you're going to put him everywhere and say, hey, he's going to be here, he's going to be here, he's going to be here, like, you either better tell us ahead of time or, rethink this strategy.
You've had a month.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time to say he's not going to come to this. But I also don't accept the people who are out here saying he needs a rest. He's been playing. You know what? So have everybody else.
Yep.
Everybody else is playing games. And I'm sorry. This is a very American view. I don't give a shit. This is what it is. We have an all-star game here. Call the league whatever you want. This is what we have. Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, they never skipped all-star games for any other reason except injury.
Well, and we're not asking them to play like a fucking full 90 high-intensity, CONCACAF Champions League game in Mexico. It's fucking stand around for 20 minutes.
Even to make an MLS comparison, even to make an MLS comparison of the only other time we ever brought in a player who's bigger than the league was David Beckham. And Beckham played on an injured foot because he was trying to keep his England cap, was flying back and forth to play for the national team, and still showed up as much as he could and was still playing and still doing stuff and understood the responsibility of being the face of the league and being paid as the face of the league. And I don't think Lionel Messi cares about that. And he's right not to, because he is bigger than the league. But this is the inherent problem of bringing in a player of his caliber, is that you force situations like this where somebody is not accountable because they don't have to be accountable. And, you know, again, credit to Garber for following through and doing the right thing, but that's the like doing the right thing at the very end when, as Brad said, there's a month of like completely fucking this up and
No, but
screwing
like,
people and screwing fans over. Because we did see a lot of Messi gets there, and there were a lot of people who were planning on seeing Messi there. And one of the reasons why I didn't get tickets is that, one, I didn't really care about the game. And even if I was going to flip them, you can't guarantee Messi's going to be there anyway. And so what's the flip market then?
but it's also like, I don't think that's as much MLS's fault as it is Jorge Mas and Javier Mascherano. Like, looking at the Inter Miami team, there was a flight plan, and we have confirmed this by finding things. Like, there was a flight plan filed from the Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport to the Austin Executive Airport for Messi and Alba to come. Like, they at least gave Don Garber the smokescreen that they were doing this until Wednesday morning.
I think what's even more incredulous to me, though, is Moss and everybody in Miami being incredulous that Messi got suspended. That they actually got punished for not following the league rules. It's wild to me that you're saying, well, how does this actually happen? You signed a fucking contract. That's how it happens. And I'm sorry, but when you're paid $60 million plus a year, reportedly, show up. Jorge, if you don't want him to show, that's on you. You need to then go out and say why and explain to people and do it ahead of time. Like, unpopular opinion among a lot of people, although it's interesting in social media, within MLS social media, it's kind of becoming a MLS fans versus the world type thing with regards to Messi. But a lot of MLS fans, and myself included, are ready for this fucking circus to go away.
Well,
The faster he's out of the league, the happier I am.
Yeah, I think we were all skeptical at the varying degrees whenever the whole Messi plan came out, but this to me is like a microcosm of why it's a fucking failure, because you pissed off everybody who is an actual MLS fan by making the entire league about Messi. You pissed off all the Messi fans because he won't show up. You double pissed off all of us because we're like, well, I didn't really give a shit, but now that he's the entire face of the league and he's fucking everybody over, I care. So, like, all you've done is piss people off, and then, Messi's, let's say Messi leaves at the end of the season, just hypothetical. All of the MLS people who were or are going to keep watching or, would have glommed on, but were like, fuck this Messi sideshow. You have fewer people signed up. All of the Messi fans don't give a shit anymore because he's not here. What have you been doing for the past 2 years? You didn't grow the league.
I mean, this is why I sent it over in our private conversation here. But like, my hot take is that the league is going to be weaker in 2027 than it is today. And even with the World Cup coming, like, if I'm Messi, I bet what happens is that he signs a 1-year option for next year, and then after the World Cup, just decides to retire and stays living in South Florida.
Yeah, I think the whole Messi circus fucked the World Cup boom you would have had too.
Yeah.
So, shot yourself in the foot there, Don.
Yeah. And obviously there's a few other things that are screwing this World Cup that are beyond Messi and all that control.
We don't have enough time for that in this show, Seth.
my only dream with Messi still here is that he continues to play and they somehow continue to lose to like Atlanta in the first round. Like, just never win this league. Of all the leagues you've played in, never win freaking MLS, and I will be happy.
I think their team is not well set up to win MLS Cup, because I think that they just have too many, they bring in names and it's blah, 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 and it's so-and-so, but like, who's defending on that team? Who's putting in the hard work on that team? Like, it misunderstands how to have a winning soccer team, because you're just entirely reliant on Messi's brilliance. And as much as, like, yes, he's brilliant, you also, in a playoff format, like, invite that chaos in, because you can't defend and you can't, turn people over and all of that kind of thing. Like, you've seen a lot of like MLS pundits talk about Miami and be like, look at all the effort, and it's just a bunch of guys like kind of jogging.
Well, they did just sign Rodrigo de Paul, who's like a classic Diego Simeone, all run around bulldog type of guy. So maybe they saw that and they found an answer. Not a suspicious TAM deal at all.
You know what? It is legal, and I applaud them for finding ways to make this legal. Like, that is good for them.
Yeah, don't hate the player, hate the game on that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I am kind of glad that we do have these crazy roster rules in the MLS because like imagine what this team would be like otherwise. But even with Rodrigo De Paul, they don't have the defensive depth. And that this shows like Messi ain't gonna stay healthy for he's been hurt every year he's in the league. He's been relatively healthy this year, but he has played an extraordinary number of minutes lately. If he makes it through to October healthy, I'd be surprised. And I didn't get the chance to see their 0-0 draw against FC Cincinnati last night, but doesn't sound like it was like they didn't have much going forward.
No, seemed like I didn't watch it, but didn't Cincinnati have a winner that was chalked off under mysterious circumstances?
It was there was a foul in the build-up. Like
Okay.
It was questionable.
All right. Yeah, I didn't watch it, so I wasn't sure. But other than that, I thought All-Star Week was fun. I'd planned on basically just doing like one small thing and then like going to the skills challenge. I ended up doing the like Stuver meetup at Hop Squad. I tried to go to the MLS Next game, which was like oversold and impossible to actually get into. But I was impressed that they ended up like doing a ton of stuff, and it was more of like an actual weekend and not just 2 events and then everybody fucks off. So I thought they did a good job.
At the Stuber event at Hop Squad for Laundry Project, which thank you for everyone who came out, donated, did a great job. We raised a lot of money and really appreciate everyone. And the Laundry Project the next day was fantastic. We had several people who went to a Stuber, I think it was Stuber and Nico signing meet and greet thing at the Domain right before that. And the reports I was getting was they cut the line off an hour before it was supposed to end because the line was too long. And it wasn't like the regular SG folks you always see, right? It was the city showing up with chances to meet people. And it sounded to me like and it felt like the entire city embraced the event, which I think it's cool. And it's going to help Austin. If Austin wants to potentially get another professional sports team down the road in another sport, whatever it might be, it's things like that are going to show that there is support in the city for more.
Or even just view it the other way. All-Star games are traditionally given to new teams or new stadiums. And as we're kind of starting to hit the limit of new teams, and I don't think there's that many new stadiums opening in the next couple of years, they're going to revisit
stadiums opening in the next few years.
Are there?
NYCFC, Chicago, and we still haven't hosted All-Star games in Charlotte. It gets next year. We still have Cincinnati. We still have Nashville. We still have St. Louis. We still have San Diego.
You got to think Inter Miami's going to get.
See, I see St. Louis. I see St. Louis and I see San Diego, but then are we just gonna? I know. I think there's an argument to be made that the next time All-Star game doesn't go to a new stadium or a new city, it's going to come back to Austin.
I mean, my thought is Miami's going to get one too. They're going to try to take advantage of that while they have some of these bigger guys here because the new stadium opens a year and a half from now.
No, it's coming along. It's going to be ready. Probably spring. They may have to open their first few games on the road, but the bowl is done there.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised Miami's not getting it next year if that's the case, while Messi's still in the league.
I don't think
Messi doesn't care about All-Star games. They know it's going to. Remember, the All-Star game next year is going to be right after the World Cup. It's going to.
I know he doesn't care, but being a home game, I think would make a difference.
But I also think the odds that he'd be injured or something else right after a World Cup, they're going to likely, because they're playing it in Charlotte next year in that 74,000 seat stadium, they're likely going to have to bring over a Premier League team or someone like that to fill it. I don't think it's going to be MLS versus Liga MX All-Stars next year. I think it'll be MLS versus, I don't know, a Big Six club.
I would love to watch Arsenal wipe the fucking floor with MLS All-Stars again.
Yeah.
We could have Liverpool do it too. That would be funny as well.
Oh, yeah.
See, I think it should be whatever team just got promoted, bring them over so that way it somewhat has a chance. Or maybe an Everton, somebody who's always hanging on by a thread.
To follow on to Brad's idea of who they could bring over a promoted team, it's Wrexham.
I was going to say, I'm astonished they haven't tried to do that yet.
Yeah, I think they needed Wrexham to get to a certain level to where it would be a game. Because if Wrexham comes over and MLS beats them, I think that would be. I don't think Wrexham wants that.
Wrexham's in the championship this year, though.
Yes, they got Josh Windass
this year.
We talked about on this podcast a couple weeks ago as a potential 10 for Austin OC.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is that now that they are a championship team, like raising their level up, I think it makes sense now. I don't think it made sense. I don't think it would have made sense for this year or last year, but it makes sense going forward.
Yeah, and I wonder too if just the Wrexham side was waiting to get to championship and kind of like chill for a year instead of going promotion, promotion, promotion before they kind of commit to something like that, where it's more like, hey, we were trying to do all the actual on-field stuff, now we can do like more just straight up US bullshit marketing. But
I fully do not expect them to get promoted this year, but they're putting money into going after this again.
But it's also like, I mean, Wrexham in their preseason tour of Australia and New Zealand are getting beat up by A-League teams right now, but it's also preseason. Who cares? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, Minnesota United crushed Everton. Like, this thing did happen.
Well, that's not news.
MLS All-Stars beat Tottenham.
Also not news.
Speaking of Morgan Gibbs White, oh my God, that was hilarious. But we'll talk about that another time. So, yeah, I mean, what was your favorite part, Scott or Brad? Since I know you went to a few of these things, what was your favorite event? Mine was the skills challenge, but we'll go into that in a minute.
I was at a podcaster panel meetup thing on Monday, and seeing Tom Bogert rush out with an important phone call, which was probably a tweet 15 minutes later, was pretty exciting, not going to lie. No, skills challenge was really fun. Seeing Goalie Wars live was great. And then truly the best moment was in the volley challenge when Stuper was up. You could tell, like, there was just a sense of like the crowd getting up for it and chanting and being for him in a way that it's like, no, this is our guy. Like, do not think that like we are here for the rest of you. We are here for him. In a way that was just like really affirming and really like vibes wise was just immaculate.
Yeah, I had a great time.
I mean, like, honestly, as a Cincinnati Reds fan,
we all sat together. Sorry, I know Seth didn't make it down, but myself, Devin, and Scott were all sitting together watching it. One of my favorite parts is actually before it even started. Devin was having a problem getting in because for whatever reason, Apple Pay or whatever wasn't working on the scanner. Scott and I got in, and I think I texted Devin 3 different times. No, we're sitting here. No, we're going to sit here because it was all general admission. Because Scott and I decided to walk like halfway around the stadium 2 different ways to try to find the exact right angle to see everything the best. Which was a blast.
Yeah,
and then people doubted us that we had the best angle.
Yeah. And then also, yelling at ISO speed every time I possibly could because it's, taking up my valuable time at a skills challenge doing stuff that I don't want to see anyone from a podcast do. Or YouTube or whatever the hell he is.
Yeah, he plays video games and yells at and yells about children, at children, for children. I don't know. He has a popular video game with children.
I will say the only benefit of watching this from a random hotel room was that you did get to hear Stuver mic'd up during the volley challenge, which I don't think you did. And also, you guys had the His Excellency Andrew Wiebe being your in-stadium MC, and we had Kevin Egan and the MLS 360 crew on TV. And not having to hear Wiebe on TV was great.
Let me tell you how bad Wiebe screwed this up, by the way. So before Goalie Wars started, they had Dane St. Clair and Brad Stuber standing next to each other. He was asking both of them questions like, oh, do you want to do this? St. Clair's like, not really. And Stuber's like, yeah, this looks amazing. You have the 2 starting keepers for a U.S. Open Cup semifinal standing next to you, and you don't ask them one time, hey, has there been any trash talk this week or anything like that with a big game coming up in a few months? Because you're Andrew Wiebe and you don't actually give a shit about any of this.
Or it's not on Apple TV, so we don't care.
Oh, but he was in stadium, though. He wasn't even really on TV.
But it's not an MLS product. That's a U.S. Soccer Federation product. And I'm here I put my Rob Lowe hat on and MLS.
Yeah.
Also, Wiebe was wearing some weird Adidas shirt that wasn't actually like a jersey or anything. I don't know what that.
Yeah, it was like a fake. Riley found it online in like 10 seconds. It was like a fake Inter Milan jersey with a neon number, and I don't know, Wiebe and the lady whose name I don't know, but apparently she was assigned just the personality of only trying to look like Lainey Wilson and not actually say anything of substance. I'm sure she's a wonderful person, but that's the job she was given. They added absolutely nothing. Like, I had no idea who this Speed person, like, obviously we Googled this shit, but they were just like, they never made a reference to like, Speed, you remember that time you crashed out and beat up 20 hookers on Grand Theft Auto 3 or something? It was just like, hey, here's Speed, ha ha ha. Like, no context was given to anything.
Apparently, he showed up in the Royal Rumble earlier this year.
Huh.
That's one of his claims to fame, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't know. We're talking about him, so I guess he's getting what he wants.
Yeah, I could never see the dude again on my TV, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Other highlights. It was nice to see Lindsay Heaps, Nay Horan compete in a couple things. Clint Dempsey did a great job, although he couldn't quite finish it off. In the
Evander on the shooting challenge was unbelievable.
Yeah,
breaking a record. I think we saw 2 records broken, right?
That and then the Mexican volley challenge was like, or the skee ball was just like, oh my gosh, they were just hitting everything from the guy.
Well, the second time they just kind of got bored and started trying to do like scorpion kick goals and volleys and stuff. It was actually kind of funny.
Yeah, the skee ball thing got confusing because like some folks got like 1 bonus orange ball, and some of them they were like coming out left and right like nonstop, and it was very inconsistent. So I was trying to figure out like the rules.
It was supposed to be starting at like 20 seconds, but some teams were taking longer with it than others.
Okay.
The biggest change I think I would make would be goalie wars, and not the format, but like 1, expand it to 8 instead of just 4 because it goes kind of quick. And then 2, they get an hour between the semis and the finals after those guys come out and stretch and loosen up for 30 minutes. Like just throw it all in there at 1 15-minute done. So these guys aren't having to get cold and then you warm back up. Like it seems unfair.
Yeah, there was a lot of like nonsense filler for no reason. Like I understand if you have to like reset things, you have to find something to fill, but it would just be like, let's do an event and then wait 20 minutes and then do another event. And it was like, okay, I get you guys need like 5 minutes for like commercial or whatever, but like this is insane.
We did not get to see the mascots dancing on TV.
There was much booing of a certain mascot, and Brad got to meet one of his heroes.
Yeah, Sir Minty was awesome, and he won the dance contest as he should. Seth, the other thing that we figured out we needed there, was they handed the traditional championship belt to the Goalie Wars champion, but they let Speed do it. We have a freaking luchador, a wrestler that could have handed a belt, and then because it was a Houston player, hit him with a chair and get the belt back as we should have. Like Scott and I were talking, like if you put us in charge of this becomes 10 times more entertaining.
Imagine the crowd pop when Verdissimo grabs the chair and hits the Houston mascot in the back. Imagine that. It would have gone insane in the best way possible.
Like globally viral.
Yes, globally viral. Like that would have eclipsed anything that like Messi has ever posted or Speed's ever done. Like, no, like we had a mascot and another mascot with a chair. Like, what are we doing with the luchador mascot if we're not going to do that?
Right.
Yeah, the next time I see you, I have found my sadly the Sir Minty pin. So it is all yours as a friend of Sir Minty here.
I think I told you this, but I was on a business trip in Seattle, and I was at the offices of the place that makes like all the bobbleheads for everybody, and they actually had like a Sir Minty figurine bobblehead in there on display that they didn't have any extras for me to take, which was kind of sad, but it was amazing.
See, we could have turned it into a whole thing too, because we could have brought down the Texas Stars mascot and had Brad brawl with him while, right after Verdissimo hits Diesel or whatever the fuck his name was with a chair, or the Houston player or whatever.
Yeah.
This is an entertainment business.
If we're gonna, if it's skills challenge, it's a fun, stupid night. Put my dumbass brain along with some other people, let's put this panel together, and I promise you, we can make this ridiculous in the best ways possible.
Yeah. Just give us a chance. That's all we're asking. I guess the game was fine. It was an all-star game. We won.
It was what I wanted to see. Like I watched it. It was fun. It was guys were trying, especially the Liga MX guys were trying some fun passes.
Mm-hmm. Stuber played well.
Yeah, it was. Stuber played great for 30 minutes. I thought the save he made was really nice. I was glad to see him get a chance to show off, and I'm glad he got the start and really get saluted here in the city. Also, it seemed like online, a lot of people who in MLS who maybe weren't as familiar with Stuber, like, oh wow, I really like this guy. Throughout the week, so that was nice to see.
Seth, I have a question for you that I suspect you might be the only person who would know. Is there a clause in Guilherme Biru's contract where he gets a bonus if he makes the All-Star team?
I think in most obviously I do not have his contract. Contracts are not publicly disclosed in this league, but nearly every player has an all-star clause in their contract. So yes, by Messi not flying out, the biggest winner of the day was Guillermo Miro.
And he had his own special single sub on.
Yeah, I mean, he may very well have gotten paid $100K for something that he found out day of. Nice work if you can get it.
That's a good day, yeah. Yeah. All right. Any other kind of notes on All-Star Week before we hit format? All right. And, go ahead and pick game or Austin FC or All-Star, whatever you want for this. But, Seth, what's your stock rising?
So I already previewed it. I think Don Garber, actually doing as much as, I think a lot of the stuff with the All-Star game was fairly poorly communicated ahead of time. People showed up. That's a win for the league that the stadium looked, full for obviously the All-Star game, but looking at it for the skills challenge, the concerts over the weekend looked full. They were doing everything else there. It looked like the city did an amazing job from afar, and points for MLS. Again, stock rising doesn't mean that you are doing great. It just means that you are better than you were the week before. And and MLS definitely improved their stock this week.
So Seth, you weren't there to see it, but skills challenge, we were guessing about 14 to 15,000 people were there.
I think that looked right from what I saw on TV. The fact that they had to fill in 101 and 105 was really
yeah. Really and then because they held off Lexus Club for, it seemed like families, things like that, MLS people and families, things like that. But they filled in the lower side of East first, and then they had to open the upper East. And by the time it was all said,
it was almost full.
Yeah. And then the other one, I think honestly, what might have even been more impressive to me was the MLS Next game being over full, because that game, most people don't even pay attention to in other cities. There might be 300 people there, and Parma apparently was filled to the brim to the point where Devin was talking about doing Verde Hill.
Yeah, we should have, but we didn't think about it until after we left. So missed opportunity. It happens. Yeah, a little hiccup here and there for Garber over the All-Star week, but like you said, it's you're better than you were last week. Brad, you want to go ahead and go next?
Nico coached teams to 7 goals this week. I think you have to give him a stock up for that.
Yeah. Seems fair to me. Why not, Scott?
I was going to go with Mirto Zuni, since somehow nobody picked him. Goals in 2 straight games, looks really good. Finishes chances, making good runs. He hopefully is really coming into his own now that he's the sole striker, and this continues for the rest of the season.
Yeah. We kind of hinted and talked about mine already, but it's the Dessler-Bukhari connection. Brad talked about how they were working outside of practice and things like that. You could just tell watching this DC game that something's clicked, and it's nice to have those duos kind of match up like that. Especially in a league like MLS where, you kind of get these tandems and partnerships, and, who you're passing to matters a ton. So hopefully that keeps going, and, we keep just absolutely menacing and destroying people on the right side.
And also, obviously, even though we didn't mention him, Owen obviously gets a stock rising as well.
Yeah.
Outstanding game.
Yeah. Stock falling. Scott, you want to go first?
Sure. Mine goes to whoever takes on the DC United coaching job. They're on their 3rd coach of the season. I looked at the predictions of where they were going to finish in the East at the beginning of the season, and everybody had them between 13 and 15. It's a bad roster of guys who just kind of aren't MLS quality level, and that's a job that if I was a coach looking to prolong my career, I would not take.
So what they need to do is rehire Wayne Rooney and then fire him before the end of the season.
They need to sell the owner, the owner needs to sell the team or figure out a way to get rid of the owner and restart it, because there's no reason why a club in that part of the country does not have the best academy in the league. And they should be bringing up those academy kids literally all the time. Yeah, karmically, Josh Wolf would deserve that.
Make it happen, God.
Brad, unite with Stroud. Sorry, stock down for me is we kind of talked about it, but just all of Inter Miami, everything that goes with Inter Miami and that circus over there, and Messi not coming this week, and
all the bullshit that happens. I like I said, I wasn't hurt financially by it or didn't have tickets to the game, but I really do feel bad for the people who spent a lot of money, especially kids. Like there was a sign of a kid who said he, was selling a bunch of or selling stuff on the street, like to raise money to go see Messi. It just sucks.
Yeah, I don't usually like to like Helen Lovejoy this, but like imagine being that kid with the horchata sign who's like, oh, I did all this to go see Messi. And like, you understand if Messi like the Saturday before is like, you know what, I'm injured, I can't play. But like finding out the day of, like, fuck, that sucks. So, Seth?
I'm gonna have to give it to Svatak. Like, I don't think Svatak should have played yesterday. Like, we have still never gotten any medical reports on what happened to him against the Galaxy. He was arguably at fault, directly at fault for the second goal, and arguably at fault for the first goal too. Like, he did not. Again, this is not saying that he's not like still a worthy starter on this team, but I'm glad we get a couple weeks to rest up because, like, I want to see Djordjevic challenge him a bit. Like, I want to see like, okay, like, make sure that you have to continuously earn your starting spot in this lineup.
Yeah, we did see him at the skills challenge too. He did not look obviously concussed, but that's hard to do just straight up waving at a guy.
Yeah, I think we asked him to sit with us and he chose not to.
That was probably smart on his part.
But also,
he could have learned some great heckling.
But like, I also got to say, like, the fact that we had CJ was there, a couple of Dessler, I think I saw spotted around there. Like the guys on the team were just like out there without like paparazzi, security thing, anything else, like, are just out there as fans. It's pretty cool for the culture that we've built here.
Yeah. I don't have a great stock falling for this week. I'll take the low hanging fruit and just say MLS messaging around the whole Messi thing. We've done it to death. I don't know how much the league actually knew or didn't know. And I do strongly suspect that they leaked that story about, hey, we're not going to punish Messi just to see the reaction on Friday before they actually made a final decision. But, you would think that a league that is this averse to controversy would have a plan. I mean, I know MLS, so I know why they didn't, but.
No, but it's also, I think you're giving MLS way too much credit for potentially leaking a story to ESPN to try to get things out there. I think ESPN was just like, no one's done anything, so we just assume nothing's happened. I don't think there was anything intentional there.
Okay, well, maybe I should give them credit for that then, for pivoting.
Yeah.
All right. Seth, you want to go for your moment of suffering?
My moment of suffering was personally that I had work stuff and I wasn't able to be there at the skills challenge. So that was my moment of suffering.
Well, we had plenty of room for you. There were heckles to have, but one of us did have to be designated survivor.
Okay, yes. I am glad that I survived. Yay. I did see one New England Revolution jersey on the street in Cambridge. That was from this year. So they did play Friday night, but that was the most surprising thing I saw in Boston.
Nice. Scott, you want to go next?
I'm sorry, word moment of suffering?
Yep.
My moment of suffering was during the skills challenge when during goalie wars, at no point did any of the goalies pick up the ball and throw it. That's you're the one player on the field who's allowed to do that. And to me, that's part of the fun of goalie wars is that they can try it different ways. They can put the ball on the ground, they can punt it, they can throw it. And they brought out a orange ball at the end that was worth 2, I believe. That should be required to be thrown.
So the orange ball was on like a pedestal next to the goal, and you could grab it at any time, I think.
Oh, was it? Okay. Because I felt like, I don't know. I mean, I think that's bad strategy to wait and do it at the end because getting an early lead was so important that we found when watching goalie wars. I don't know. The goalie wars tactics just really needs to advance.
Yeah, we'll work on that. We'll hit the drawing room. Get the fucking stats nerds on it.
This is why teams need analytics departments to figure out how to play goalie wars.
We decided the team actually has an analytics department. Somebody just didn't know what the hell they were doing, right? So the person writing about an analytics department needed an analytics department to tell them that analytics departments actually exist. That's how I thought that tale ended. Brad, do you want to go next?
Yeah, last night during the game, coming out of halftime, the announcer goes, Austin on their way to a win. And then DC immediately scores 2 minutes later. It's like, thanks, guys.
Commentator.
Yeah.
Mine was when they went to review the Owen goal because I was like, oh, Owen just completely monstered him. The guy didn't even try to jump. But I was just like, This is kind of like the dumb thing that's going to look bad on a slow motion replay, and they're going to fucking call it back. But our good friend Philip, however, did not call it back or even have the referee go to the monitor. So bullet dodge there. But I was certain that we were going from a 2-0 halftime lead to hanging our heads, and we're going to give an early goal, and it was going to be 1-1, and we were going to squander an opportunity. So only a tiny bit of that happened. Seth, you want to give us our Rouge report?
Is the audio messing up for anyone else here?
Nope.
Okay, it's just on my end, but we will make it work. So in the Canadian Football League, we had admittedly there was one more Canadian football game tonight, but so far we had 4 Austin FC goals last night, and we only had 3 Rouges in Canadian football so far this week. However, in the Edmonton Elks Saskatchewan Roughriders game Friday night, we had a 1-1 score at a point in the first quarter, and the end of the first quarter was 4-1. Last night, Toronto and Winnipeg played a remarkably normal 31-17 game where the teams got to 31-17 by the exact way that you would think they would get to 31. However, without cheating, can anyone look at how Montreal beat Calgary 23-21 on Thursday night? How did the teams get to those score lines?
I know Montreal scored all 9 points in the fourth quarter via field goal.
Yes.
Because I watched it.
I was going to say 21 was all field goals.
No, it was so Montreal got 5 field goals, 1 Rouge, and a touchdown to get to 23.
Montreal was in position for a game-tying Rouge had the field goal missed.
Yes.
Late in the game. That was a possibility.
That's what we do this for. That's why we watch this sport.
And also, if Montreal's on TV, just watch it because the game is going to end in like 1 or 2 point game.
I am so excited. Again, you guys are still more than welcome to join me. I have tickets to see the Montreal Alouettes play the Winnipeg Blue Bombers Thursday, August 21st on Country Night at Molson Stadium up in Montreal.
That's a game you might see twice this year, Seth.
What's that?
That's a game you might see twice this year.
Yeah, and you know what? I would be thrilled with it. But I mean, I watched enough Zach Collaros at college that I'm like, I think I'm probably good on my Zach Collaros quota, but
I do kind of want Winnipeg to make it because a Winnipeg home Grey Cup could be pretty fucking fantastic, actually. I feel like the vibe would be amazing.
Yeah. Brad, I know we got to get you out of here. Any other big sports tidbits we need? Coach Drink extended at Mizzou.
Yes, I think it's a smart signing for Mizzou to extend. In college football news, there's a report out that North Carolina is starting to kick the tires on moving to the SEC in the next few years, which would probably mean one other team would come. There's talk that it might be Clemson, but I actually think Virginia makes more sense if you're talking about expanding the map a little bit while being smart about it. So that'll be interesting to see as the next round of realignment comes, probably in about 5 years or so. But I think some conversations are starting to be had. And then there was one other thing. Yes, the Colorado Rockies have a winning record since the All-Star break. That's all we need to talk about. We don't need to talk about anything before the All-Star break, just since then.
That's old news. That's not who I am anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Virginia and Carolina make more sense to me than Clemson, not just for the footprint, but they have much bigger national fan bases than Clemson does.
Yeah. Well, and there is a little bit of an argument here. I personally believe Florida State will never, ever, ever be in the SEC. And if you don't know the history there's a reason. Like Bobby Bowden, Florida State got an offer when the SEC expanded in 1992. And Bobby Bowden basically said, no, we don't want that. It's too hard. It's also why I think Georgia Tech will never come back to the SEC. When you leave, you're gone. And they were an OG member, and I kind of think something similar would happen with Clemson. So I think North Carolina is the biggest jewel out there from a new map expansion for both the Big Ten and the SEC. Academics, they would fit perfectly.
Baseball,
in the Big Ten, baseball, basketball, all very good. I think they could fit in either of the big conferences, the Big Ten and the SEC, but it looks like they want to come to the SEC.
All right, time will tell. Anything else before we get out of here? Women's Euros final about to kick off right when we're finishing this, so nobody's probably going to have heard this before that gets going, go Spain. You know, enjoy your day. Everybody have a rougeful Sunday. And on behalf of Scott, Seth, and Brad, thanks for suffering with us. Bye.
Promise here for Austin Jared Stroud. It's Diego for goodness! He has written his name into Austin folklore.
They just won't go away.
Oh, he hits the upright again! That's impossible!
The Bears' season's going to end on a double doink.
Altidore squares it. Dempsey's missed it. Donovan has it. From hope, there is glory.